Failures are why I'm here today.
There's no losses, it's lessons.
Whether you want to be the best business person, best basketball player, be the best musician, there's always somebody that's done it to a very high level, and why not learn from that person? Running a company with many people is to really assess people's emotions, people's motivational patterns, people's communication skills. That, to me, is a trait that's learned and it can't be taught in school.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast, and today we have a very special guest. We've got Adam Nasir here, the owner of Smarter Contact, a software company that's valued at $50 million. So it's a pleasure to have you on, Adam. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, brother. Pleasure to be on.
Now, when I was in this position, when I first got started with my business, I would see people like yourself and just think that level of wealth and abundance is so far out of my league. So my question to you is, when you first got started, was this your goal? Was this what you truly wanted? And what is the reason for getting started in your software company?
To answer your question, I was always someone with a dream. I was that young boy, I had no money, I was an immigrant to the US. I only saw the opportunity of one day being able to provide for my family, provide for my mom who struggled, and I wanted to be free. No matter what that number was, I didn't have a number in mind of whether it's 1 million or 50 million or a billion or whatever. I wanted to be completely free, live where I want, do what I want with who I want, and not have anyone tell you, what to do and how to live your life. So that was always the goal, and that motivated me to start many different businesses. It wasn't just a one-hit wonder. I tried many different businesses before I succeeded in my most recent venture.
Amazing. That's amazing to hear. Now, you mentioned there you had a bit of struggle, right, with your mother and through your childhood. Can we go into that, sort of go into your struggles, what you really went through, and how that shaped your life?
I was very fortunate to have a very hard life, and very fortunate to have that willpower to continue even though life deals you a fucked up hand. You get dealt a 2-7 offsuit and you make it into aces, right? You make it into a full house somehow. How that shaped me is it gave me the fuel, it gave me the motivation, and it gave me the failures that I needed to learn from. Because those failures are why I'm here today.
Absolutely. It's a great saying. It's, there's no losses, it's lessons. When stuff goes wrong, you either play a victim, get frustrated about it, you get upset, or you learn a lesson and it helps you grow. So I'm sure, there's been lessons you've learned across business, personal life. But in terms of business, what are some of the biggest failures you had and the lessons you took from that?
Biggest failures, I would say definitely hiring the wrong people, especially in leadership, that can guide your company. That's really important. We had some critical failures. I'm sure you know the saying, trust but verify. My thing is don't trust and verify twice. People will tell you whatever they need to, whether you're hiring an agency or you're hiring someone to build your product or build your company or an employee, they can sell you the dream in the early stage, but I always verify. The reality is a lot of people are bullshit. A lot of people aren't exactly what they say they are, and they'll over-advertise themselves. And I got really screwed over from people in the past because I put a little too much trust without doing enough due diligence and verifying that that person was the real deal, and before doing larger business with these people. That was one of the biggest failures. Other failures that I had, not seeking out knowledge from people that were already steps ahead. People that have already done it. And anything you want to do, whether you want to be the best business person, or you want to be the best basketball player, or you want to be the best musician, there's always somebody that's done it to a very high level. And why not learn from that person instead of learning it yourself? Those were the biggest two for me.
Absolutely. No, that's amazing. And I think a lot of people watching this episode at the moment, and the position I'm in as well, maybe starting their first business, growing their first business, and want to be in the position that you're in, right? I think there's 70 people in your team?
50, like 40, 50, yeah.
49, 50, still a huge team. I think a struggle that I'm starting to encounter now is trying to bring on staff. And like you say, trying to find who is the right person. So what do you look for in a great hire? You've made so many. You must have some, things that tick boxes. What would you say they are for a great hire?
Well, first it depends on the position that you're hiring for. Is it a leadership position where they're managing people, or is it more in the ground doing introverted type of work, like let's say an engineering position or behind the scenes? So it really depends on the specific position. If it's someone who's a leader, they have to really be excellent at communicating. They have to show proactivity. And I look for those traits up front to see how detailed and proactive the person is. Also, I want people that are passionate. There's a million jobs out there, but if you want to work for my company, I want to know that you're fucking motivated and you have that drive and you want to be outstanding. I want winners. So what I essentially do is I create a sandbox for winners without the risk of entrepreneurship. What I look for is some level of genius or some level of intellect, and then also a passion that they want to bring their fire, bring their energy into an environment like ours where they can make their dreams a reality. So those are the two things.
That's amazing. And I think, like you say, people with that fire in their belly and the hunger to win usually do end up being entrepreneurs. So I imagine, is it quite tough trying to find those people who have all of those traits, but maybe keep them from wanting to start their own venture, become competition, that sort of thing? How you actually go about that, how you stop people from going off and just doing their own thing.
Let's say we're doing business together. Before doing business with you, obviously we're doing business to make money, but I want to understand what your values are. I want to connect with you on a deeper level and understand what you're trying to get out of it. And then my job is, if you fulfill your responsibilities or the person's responsibility to the company, it's my job to reward you with the things that you're looking for. Some people want more than just money. Obviously, people are motivated by money, but some people just want the autonomy to call the shots. I brought in leaders that were super smart, but they worked for companies that restricted their ability, and there was a chain of command where they couldn't make their decisions themselves. They had to run up a corporate ladder. So I want to assess the person and understand what their goals are, and it's my job as the leader to provide that reward exactly to what they were looking for. And if there's trust and mutual respect, generally we see people don't leave. My best employees have really come in from the very beginning, and they've added value, and they showed me, like, Adam, I'm so confident in what I can do. Let me show you for the first 60 days or 90 days what I can do, and then let's talk numbers. And at that point, I'm happy to pay them exactly what they want. That's the best frame. And for anybody that's watching that wants to get into a company or any partnership, look for what you're going to add in value. And yeah, take less the first few months, as long as you believe the other person on the other side is going to fulfill their side. Are they someone that's actually going to reward you after several months of really hard work on the other end of it? If yes, if you really believe the integrity of the person that's hiring you, work for less for a few months and say, after I've worked for a few months, I want to renegotiate based on my value. And you'd be surprised, A, that you get the job, and B, the level of pay that you would get once the job was acquired and done correctly.
Something that I gather from you is you're very good at recognizing people's character and their character traits. Do you think there was anything that happened to your life that helped you pick that skill up?
Running a company with many people, you learn people's emotions, you learn EQ, and it's very underrated. Talking to people and being able to understand people is a whole different league, where you have to really assess people's emotions, people's motivational patterns, people's communication skills, even now being international with cultural patterns and how cultures are different. Understanding all of these things are essential as a leader. For me, what helped was just being in the pits, like having those shots on goal and trying as many times as possible, talking to different people and going back and assessing how the communication went and how could have done better. When I got into Smarter Contact, my current SaaS, I was hiring a lot of people and having a lot of day-to-day communication with different departments, and that made me a better leader. I'll be honest, I was a shitty leader in the beginning. I was pretty bad at it, but it was just learned over time.
What makes you say that? Why do you think you're a bad leader at the start?
Definitely emotional intelligence, the ability to read people and to really get them to understand how motivated they are. That, to me, is a trait that's learned and it can't be taught in school.
And we were speaking off camera yesterday as well about you've been doing a lot of traveling, visiting different cultures. Do you think that's helped you as well in a way, develop more EQ, understanding for different cultures, that sort of thing? I know, at least from my experience, I haven't done a whole lot of traveling, but every time I've gone somewhere and put myself in like an uncomfortable situation, you always come out learning something, whether it's traveling to Thailand and Bali like I did a few years ago, or living in Portugal for a month, say, for example, just to pick up languages, cultures, pushes you out your comfort zone. But do you think that's helped you, like immersing yourself in different cultures?
Absolutely. You look at the trajectory of your life, you look at like, okay, when was I growing the most? And there's different trajectories. The last few years when I started traveling the world and seeing different cultures, having different friend groups, meeting new people, leaving old friend groups that weren't serving you, and just understanding to talk to people on a high level, both socially and professionally. That alone, talking to people and leaving my comfort zone, just like you did, that helps build that cultural awareness and cultural intelligence and emotional intelligence that I could then apply to my business. Let's say we're doing business and I know what your reward system is. I know exactly what makes you happy, and also the goals you have. We have a mutual respect, we have a mutual trust. Also keeping it fun, keeping it light, not just business, making it a place that you want to work, a place that's fun, a place that's challenging you, where you're growing and optimizing your skills, and you're making more and more money, why would you want to leave?
That's what I've noticed being in here, Dubai, just a few days. It's got that culture. Everyone's so driven, so incredibly driven. Everyone's focused on the same end goal as well. Now, I resonate a lot with you when you say you've had to leave old friendship groups. Something that I found particularly tough when I just started my journey. I was honestly, going out down the pub and stuff like that every weekend with my old friend groups. Giving that up just completely was tough, but it was really, really, really important. Whereas somewhere like Dubai, that's not even an option, firstly. But secondly, it's not all just work, 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 as you say. You can also enjoy yourself, enjoy the cars, enjoy whatever it is in Dubai. So I know you've recently just moved to Dubai, have you?
Yeah,
here full-time now?
officially done now, 100% officially.
Amazing.
Right, 9 months of the year.
Yeah. So you see yourself being here long term?
Without any question. I'm 100% a Dubai man now at this point.
I can see why. I'm starting to feel the same. But for you, what was it about Dubai especially that really ticked all your boxes?
The number one thing I love, that's the direction where it's going. So it aligns where Adam is going in the next 5 years. And that's how I look at long-term decisions now. I don't just look at it, okay, is it going to make me happy now? Is this something that I will enjoy in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years? And when I looked at it from that frame, it was a no-brainer. I could set up a family here. I have safety here, safety for my family and future family here. It's clean, great food, great restaurants, amazing people. I've got a great network of people all around me here. So I've built like a home base. Not to mention the airport is fantastic. I can get in and out of anywhere. It's a Muslim country, so politically, they're not forcing anything down your throat. And it's just a fun place to live. And you can live the life you want. If you want to be a complete degenerate and go out and party every night, you can. If you want to go work and hustle and meet the right people, you can. If you want to be religious, you can. Whether you want to take up new hobbies, you can dictate your friend group. You have unlimited opportunity in a city like this. And generally, especially the people that live here, are very kind and good people. The Arabs here, they're fantastic people. And even the expats that have been here a while, they get it. They're assimilated to the culture. They're not going to steal and rob from you. Obviously, I'm still cautious doing business with people. But generally, if I compare the culture overall from a place like this versus somewhere maybe in Miami, which is a very similar place, but in the West, it's a completely different dynamic of culture and ethics.
I completely agree. I definitely get that vibe. And it's nice to see, even just like the buildings, everything's being developed, everything's been worked on and being grown. And it's nice to be part of that community. Now, I know you said we don't get too political and things like that, but you mentioned things that are happening in the West. Do you have a reason why you think the West are pushing certain philosophies? Do you think they want men to be weak? And what do you think the reason for that actually is?
That's a pretty deep subject. I'll say that overall, freedom is not something that they want for you. Generally, if you want complete freedom, that doesn't serve them because they want you to be reliant on them on a check, on their social security every month, on your pension or your retirement, and a part of a system that is truly reliant on them. So I'll say that governments generally, they absolutely want you to stay within their bubble, stay within their system and need them. And anyone that escapes like I did, that doesn't serve them. They just want you to be part of that system.
100%. That's something that I actually noticed a lot from going to university in the UK and throughout school. It just seems like everything's manufactured to make you a part of a machine. Yes. A very well-oiled machine, but you're constantly being taught that you will do this, you will be here at a certain time.
Yes. Act like a good slave, go to school, pay your taxes, learn, get a job. Yes, boss, hi boss, go to school, go to work. Yeah. And it's the same bullshit. Like it literally is the same bullshit. And I saw it like at a very early age when, different things happen, different events happen. There were a lot of false flag events in the United States. There were a lot of events that did happen, wars that were created by proxy. There's a lot of evil that was created from the West intentionally. And I kept thinking, I was like, why? Why are they pushing all these agendas? Well, they don't really give a shit. If you die or I die tomorrow, they do not give a single fuck. Just a number on a screen. Oh, he's off the system. Let's replace him with a few more and pre-program a few more. So they don't genuinely care about us, but we have to somehow care about them. I love the foundation of what some of these countries stood for. If you look at Western history, it was built on freedom. I'm from America. I love the principle of what America stood for and stands for as a principle from the Constitution. But if you look at it now, it's the complete opposite of what America stood for, which is freedom, liberty, and the people first.
Do you think that comes slightly down to the strength of the men? I know when I was studying history in school, there was all these great conquerors, right? Romans, conquerors, and it seemed like the men were the strong people, right? I do feel like everyone's getting a sense that that's dying. Do you think that's a big problem in society now? Men are becoming weaker
100%. It was a patriarchy back in the day. And even now, I go to dinner and I'll like see a guy with a girl and the girl is holding the frame and the guy's like simping over her and he's like talking in this, yes, baby, whatever you want, da, 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 like, you know, and you see the girl is clearly with him just because he has a nice watch or he has, you know, something that she can clasp on. It's fucking sad. Because that affects the entire world. Like when you have weak men, you have strong women. When you have strong women, you have a bigger divide between men and women, and you have really a cultural divide overall. The weak men epidemic is massive, and it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate because men now, yes, they're motivated to make more money. That's what we're being told, but we're not motivated to be strong, to be firm, to hold our ground, to hold our line, and have respect first. This is why I love Dubai, because it's a Muslim country, and in Islam, it empowers men to be strong. As a man, you need to be the man of your family. You need to be a man of honor. You need to be a man when you say something, this is your line, that no one crosses that line, and this is just your principle. Unfortunately, that's gone in the West, and that's a big part of the reason why I left.
Are there certain things you think men should be doing or young men should be doing to basically just better themselves, right? Become stronger? I know fighting is a good one. I know you do a bit of boxing and stuff like that, and you mentioned you may have a fight coming up at some point.
Maybe. I haven't announced it yet, but I am thinking to take a fight.
Maybe cut that out, but
No, it's fine. You know, maybe this will be like a good first sneak peek into my future career once I retire. Look at our history. You know, we're no different than primates or lions or any pack of animals, right? We have our own ecosystem, and that was the most primal thing back in the day. The men would join the military at a very young age. They'd learn to be strong. They'd go out to war. They'd go out and fight, and they'd come home. And now we're a bunch of weak pussies. Honestly, like we're a bunch of weak pussies that want to stay home, that want to watch Netflix, and I want to eat fucking Cheetos and make money and then think that life is good. No one's going to respect you. I love when I go into a room, not only do I have money and I have all these other things, but I also have dignity and I have self-respect. I can look myself in the eyes in the mirror and I know the person that's built. And that is much more valuable than any millions of dollars. You take a millionaire who has infinite money, but he's a pussy inside. He might as well be a homeless man.
Speaking of homeless men, I actually believe there's a story as well. Where did you employ someone that was homeless in your business?
You researched me, bro. I like it.
I've been doing my research. I would love to hear about that story. That sounds incredible. You know, being able to change someone's life. That's the reason why partly I started this business, changed my family's lives, changed my own life, of course. But being able to do that for other people is a beautiful thing.
First of all, thank you. This is the first time I've actually mentioned the story in many years. And yeah, there's a YouTube video called The $5 Speech, where I met a homeless man. I was living in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I'm driving in my new Mercedes. I was like 26 at the time. And I see a homeless guy outside. And he's like, hey, you know, do you have $5? I was like, yeah, sure. And then I ended up talking to him, and he was really nice. I talked to him for like 5 minutes. And I said, hey, what are you doing out here? He's just on hard times. I gave him my business card, and I gave him the $5, and I left. And then 9 months later, I get an email saying, Adam, you might not remember who I am, but my name is James. And I've been saving your business card for the right time in my life where I felt confident enough to reach out to you. Since then, I brought your business card to every church, every ghetto, every place that I've been to. I've saved it, and I was waiting until I worked on myself to have the confidence to reach out to you. This is who I am. This is how you can find me. It was just beautifully written email and articulate and deep. And it was amazing and astounding to see this. I reached out to the guy the next day, and I meet him like he was in my city. So I meet him, and he was like a genuine guy, and he had a good sales skill. And I hired him for my company, and literally the next month he made $5,000 from $5, and he's a homeless guy.
Changed his life. That is incredible, isn't it? It's amazing to see, but how fulfilled did that make you feel?
Far superior to any of the peak luxury and hedonistic experiences.
Absolutely. I actually noticed that myself. Since I started the business, I had a goal of mine was to basically get my first watch. That was one of the goals I set for myself. Worked really hard, managed to make it happen. But along the way, I managed to take my mum on a little holiday to Prague, paid for that.
Amazing.
That was 100 times more fulfilling than buying this. It's just a piece of metal. It looks nice and stuff like that, but being able to do things for other people.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be buying a holiday or, you know, full-time employing someone. You started by giving $5 on a business card. And that has a knock-on effect. So I think people watching as well, you don't have to do crazy things to affect people's lives. It's the small gestures that can count, right? And I think there needs to be more of that in the world at the moment.
100%. And that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this podcast. Like, yeah, you can make more money. And that's what the world is telling us now. It's like, yeah, be rich and have the hot girlfriend and have the supercar. That's fucking dumb. That alone doesn't make you happy. I've had plenty of that. And that alone is just one area of your life. And without finding opportunities to give back and to help other people. One of the biggest idols in my life was Kobe Bryant. Big fan of his back in the day. And one thing that he said was greatness is inspiring the next generation. And that's always what I'm trying to do. We're always trying to find ways to, yes, level ourselves up, like, okay, make more millions or grow or travel more. But how do I find that kid that I can speak to that can level up the same way and give advice to, that they can live a good life. And then hopefully one day they'll pass on the same information to their kids or people they talk to.
I really appreciate you obviously coming on. It's an inspiration for me.
Of course, bro.
Do what you're doing, and you're teaching me lessons that I can pass on to other people. Is that the reason for yourself doing a bit of content now? I notice you're doing quite a bit of good stuff on Instagram, YouTube. Posted your first YouTube video, so people should check that out. Is that the reason you were posting content, really to be a role model, and teach people the right way to potentially do things?
I'm sick and fucking tired of the influencers. I fucking hate them. I'm tired of them because all of them are flexing and all of them never made it in any way. And they're YouTubers first, and then they made money, and then they start fighting. Or they start doing the shit that I already did, So it's ridiculous. I'm honestly sick and tired of the influencers. So I actually want to do this from a frame of, okay, I built myself from zero, from the bottom of the fucking bottom. And that's what makes the story even more interesting, is I didn't come from middle class or like an average. I came from zero, less than zero. I literally lived in hell. And from like hell to, I would say, one of the higher echelons of achievement. And I'm very excited about that. And that's why I feel the most empowered and the responsibility to teach at this point. So I'm doing it for free. At this point, I've hired a film crew and just filming my life around and trying to add value, specific on different lessons, both life, travel, business, freedom, whatever the case may be.
I know you mentioned you started from absolute zero. Right? Like you say, it makes your story so much more impressive when you really come from absolute nothing. And there could be some people in some very dark places at the moment watching this video or stumble across something like this. What would you say to your younger self when you were really just at rock bottom?
Number one piece of advice that I would say to my younger self would be to find good mentors that I could learn from. That is like really important, both in business and in personal. And sometimes they're not the same. Sometimes you meet someone who's crushing it in business, but they don't have the rest of their life figured out, and that's fine. If you're doing e-commerce or real estate or crypto, find the best crypto guy, find the best e-commerce guy. I want to see your numbers. I want to see that you're legit, like see the operation. And I want to learn from the best business people. And also I want to find the best mentors in life that actually have figured it out and have the entire life that you want. I try to define the life I want. What is my life like? What is my family life like? What's my business life like? Finance, all these things. And then I see who has it. And then I find that person and I reach out, add value, and try to learn from them. That's my number one. And number two is just developing that thick skin. I feel there's nothing that will stop me short of death. And I have this very good relationship with death. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of death, but I am afraid of quitting. I am afraid of falling short of my potential. And I just have this killer instinct that I created. I was a pussy, bro. I was like, when I was younger, I was scrawny, I was weak, I was beat up. And then I went from that to a fucking savage. And how I created the savage was I was relentlessly getting back up. I use the story of Rocky. Rocky was the perfect example. He wasn't the best fighter, but he had the biggest heart. And that's what I have, is I have a heart, and I would just constantly get knocked down, and I'd get back up for one more round. And I'd get knocked down again, and I'd get back up. And then over time, you'll see that you're leveling up so high that you become a savage, and that mindset is different. The mindset changes because now, whether I'm applying that to go into the gym or to business, when I attack hard. When I train fucking intense. Where most people stop at rep 10, rep 12. Wherever I feel the pain, I feel the pain in my mind, but I'm like, nah. And I go way past, and that allows me much more results in both fitness and other areas of my life.
It's incredible. I would love to get the chance to train with you at some
Let's
point.
Let's do it.
I used to actually do powerlifting. I competed as a powerlifter, so it's just common.
Nice.
Squat, bench,
it's the legs. That's a great one for anybody who's in the young 20s or early guys. I did 1 year of powerlifting.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was awesome. And you really develop here where everyone's doing the
no
butt and
trial
the body.
fit you anymore.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
problem. But yeah, everyone focus on chest and arms, legs. That's where your power comes from
Exactly.
as well. So getting into fighting and boxing and stuff like that, notice that you become way stronger.
100%. The four
powerful foundations.
The four is squats, deadlifts, clean, and bench press. Do those for like 6 months. I mean, fuck bicep curls, tricep extensions, fucking gay. Just do that and build your core. You build your testosterone and your like endocrinology levels, your basically your hormonal levels are through the roof.
Yep.
And you're building that power for like your lower back, your glutes, and your quads. I mean, it's
Speaking to such a successful business owner and having a chance to speak to other, business owners, everyone's so involved in like the health and fitness stuff, just general self-development.
Yeah.
It really does come as a whole package, doesn't it? To get to the top of the top, like your level, the stronger your mind, everything else becomes easier.
Exactly.
That was the thing that I noticed as well, especially going to uni. Did you go to college in America?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Did you drink a bit there? Was it a bit of
Oh
party?
yeah, no, I was partying on the weekends, chasing chicks. I was all over. Yeah, I was definitely having a fun time.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm not going to learn something, and I paid a lot of money, so I might as well have fun.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's it, and that's exactly the same as me, is drinking all the time. But your body tells you about it. You don't feel good. You don't feel motivated.
You realize what's good for you and what's bad. Maybe sometimes you do have to go through that, go to the bars with your friends to realize that that's not what you want to do all the time. Yeah.
You do have to sort of experience that. I've got that at the moment. My younger brother, he's 18. I've just basically employed him full time. It's
amazing.
That's another amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's absolutely amazing to have him on the team, because the hardest thing that I've had so far is I've employed some people, not many, some virtual assistants, these sorts of things, and trust is really, really difficult.
Exactly.
I did start my business as well from the very beginning with a long-term old friend, which unfortunately didn't work out quite as planned. But it's finding people that you can really trust. And I think if you've got a brother or something like that,
yes, there's unbreakable loyalty there.
Exactly.
Yeah, unbreakable loyalty with brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
trust is everything. There's certain few people that I really genuinely trust with my life, and those people are the first people I will want to do business with, essentially.
Say you're on the come up, you're grinding, and you're trying to connect with like-minded guys, and if you want to form like a brotherhood, really, you want more brothers. How can you do that to show trust to people? Because I know trust is something you can't say. You have to show what sort of actions. So just being true to your words, always being loyal, that sort of thing.
Just understanding that it doesn't come overnight.
Sure.
You're not going to gain trust with someone like over a couple of days, especially someone very high level. It takes time to build and nurture that relationship. And one fuck up can cause that trust to be gone. If you steal one little thing, you steal $10 without the person knowing, or whatever it is, it can be gone. But how to build trust? Sometimes trust can be done in the details, like little things you can do that builds trust, whether it's adding value when the person's not looking. I always try to add value to someone's life, even their blind spots. If I'm your ally and you're looking here, I'm looking at your blind spots on any little opportunities that I can. And I always try to add value to that person. For my closest allies, we're like a wolf pack. And I'm thinking about how can I add value consistently to make you from here to here. And even if I have nothing to gain out of that, I still want you to be here, or here. Because it's not selfish, it's not tied to ego. My happiness is seeing you win, and it should be the same way reciprocally.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really powerful. That's really important. As you say, recognizing other people's weak points. Sometimes that can make people uncomfortable. Yeah. You have had experiences where you might have said to someone, point out their weak points or point out weak spots, they take it the wrong way. Is that something people should be worried about? Or?
I mean, they're just being little bitches, honestly. if I give someone like clear feedback in a very polite way and they're offended, I'm like, okay, well, sorry you felt that way, and I will just choose to never speak to that person again. I actually like that frame of being direct with people, because either A, they level up, or B, they reveal their identity that they're too insecure and their ego is too high, which just tells me I never want to talk to this person again. So actually authenticity ends up helping you, because it's like a natural filter, or it naturally levels up your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think always just being transparent, being honest, being authentic is the number one thing. I learned that the hard way in my business as well. Had some clients where, you try and overpromise, underdeliver, not really as clear of the communications. It just ends up being 10 times worse in the end when you haven't lived up to what you said you would.
One trick that I do actually with every friendship that gets to it, once it gets past the acquaintance level and I'm getting to friendship, this is a really good hack. I will approach the person one-on-one and I'll say, hey, do I have your permission to keep it 100% authentic and tell you your flaws to you? Person to say, okay, yeah, sure. They're always going to say sure, right? And you have the permission, vice versa, to tell me. So now if I address it, we've already addressed it. We've already crossed the barrier. You've given me permission to give feedback. And I do that with anyone that I'm close with, anyone that I'm very close with. I give them permission first. So I'll tell them, hey, anything you see me that I could have done better, you have my permission to give feedback back. And by the way, can I do the same for you? And they're going to say, yes, of course.
Sure.
And now when you do it, it's less threatening. So that's a hack, is like making it upfront, telling the person upfront before get permission.
That's a really good hack. I'm going to probably use that with some friends and see how it goes. But something I've just noticed speaking to high-level guys and business owners is super, super self-critical. I know you're probably going to watch this podcast back and
Yes.
every little detail you'll make notes on. Do you think sometimes that could be a bad thing? Or do you think that's always a good thing, being super self-critical and picking up every little detail?
It depends on what kind of life you want. If you want to be elite, if you want to be hyper elite in any performance, that's just who you are. Yeah. And that applies to anything, whether it's business or anything achievement based. So no, I see no issues with it. Anyone that says that is just living in a different life. I mean, if you want to be an eagle, you got to do what eagles do. If you want to be like a pigeon, watch Netflix.
That's good advice, absolutely. Speaking about eagles, you sort of chosen that animal. What's sort of the story behind that? What made you choose the eagles? I suppose like your sort of spirit animal. What was it about eagles that stood out to you specifically?
Powerful animal, powerful. That animal is a beast. Number one, it's epitome of strength in the air. When we think of animals in the air, it is absolutely the alpha of that space. And what I love about the eagle is, number one, it's free. It can go as far as it wants. It flies fucking high, and it sees everything below it and sees the other birds. For me, having left the US and traveling the globe, that's very symbolic. Well, what I like about the eagle, there's a few things about it. It's very interesting. The eagle will actually go through a period of its life where for 6 months, the beak and the claws get weak. The claws are, no longer sharp. They become dull. The beak starts to get dull and start to fall out. And what it has to do is it has to smash its own nose, its own beak against a rock to break it, and also rip out its own claws, and then it grows back several months later. It's hyper painful. Imagine taking out all of your fingernails and taking out your nose, like ripping it out through a rock and smashing it and ripping it off. Every eagle does that. They live a very long time. It's like 40, 50 years. But yeah, like I'd say somewhere halfway through its life, it has to go through that process. And for 6 months, it just sits there while it grows and gets everything back. It's hyper intense. And then also, I mean, just the vision of the eagle is amazing. It only flies with other eagles. So if you can see, eagles fly with eagles. The eagle's not afraid to go through a storm, which was very symbolic of areas of our lives.
A very, very symbolic animal. I didn't know that about the eagles. Guys these days should put themselves through that hardship. Even if, like myself, I've got a relatively comfortable life, got, a good family and things like that, but finding things to do where you can push yourself out your comfort zone. You say guys just need to seek for doing stuff like that as much as possible, and that's going to help them grow.
The stoic philosophies are gone nowadays. Now it's sit home, watch Netflix and chill and don't train and work for the man. Fuck that. If you want elite level, if you want to be respected in circles, not just rich. Rich is secondary to being respected and having respect for yourself. If you want genuine respect for yourself, you're going to have to do these things. At an early age, I was even suicidal and thinking I was sad. I hated myself. I was thinking there was times in my life I hated myself so much, it's not worth living anymore. And I had these thoughts. I never acted on them, but I had those thoughts. I was such in a low place in my life, many times in my life, both in my early childhood and even in my 20s. My potential was here, and I was like way down here. And I really hated myself at that point. And that's all because I wasn't going through challenge correctly. Now that thought doesn't exist. It doesn't even cross my mind. And I'm very fulfilled. Even if, let's say, a bad day happens, I look myself right in the mirror, I'm like, nah, you're bad. You're bad. I know exactly who I am. Like, there's no need to revalidate that. And that's what I try to show to the young people is go through hard things. Hard things are good. Even if you start a business and you fail, you're already successful because you've learned and you went through something difficult. And the difficulty truly is the ultimate gift in life.
No, that's amazing, because I can see you look at it from an opportunistic point of view where you've had all this hardship, but you view it as positive.
Yes.
I think a lot of people would be ashamed of that sort of stuff. Suicidal thoughts, that's, obviously completely awful. And when people go through failures, I think they see shame in it. But you say there shouldn't be. If life was super easy for everyone, there'd just be no point. They should embrace it like you have. So I think the way that you look at it as well impacts your actions. If you're ashamed of stuff, it has that negative cycle. Whereas if you've got a shit situation, you've been through. You can either embrace it, come out 10 times stronger, or become ashamed of it. So when you were going through those times, did you know that there was going to be like light on the other side? Did you think it was going to get worse? What was like your mindset?
So I had no choice but to move forward, right? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Quit? Or like that's it, like death. That's the only thing. I had to keep trying more shit. You have that hope, hope one day it'll get better, one day it'll get better. But honestly, at least for me in my early childhood, like getting myself out of a bad situation. There's a lot of bad situations people are in, whether it's parents or friend groups, or your friends are doing drugs or doing something, partying too much. You can just leave. Like, it's that easy.
I was just about to say, you have full control over your situation. People play the victim, they say they don't. When I first got into my 9 to 5 and felt trapped and stuff like that, I was like, oh man, this is so tough. But you start to realize, I put myself in
just leave. I had for example, I had a girlfriend in the US for a while, and I was miserable. I hated myself. And I had a beautiful girlfriend. People saw that it was the great experience, and I was unhappy. And the best thing I ever did was leaving, because that allowed me to remove any situation that was negative in my life and focus on myself. And I'm only here now because I decided to take action and leave something that wasn't serving me. And it's actually not that hard. We make it much more difficult than it needs to be. And you're benefiting both yourself and the friend group. Because if you leave your friend group, or if you leave that girlfriend, or you leave that person who's not serving you, that's even better for them, because now you're not clustering your energy to them. They can go do their thing and hopefully level up, and you can have your energy and your time alone to level up as well. So just leave. I'm a big proponent, a big advocate of cutting out anyone or people that don't serve you.
Absolutely. I think that's so strong, so important. As you leave those old friendship groups, there's obviously going to be a need for finding new ones. You can't just be alone forever. That's not the way anyone does it. Something that I definitely struggled with when I first started was networking with other business owners and even finding them. There wasn't any in my local town or local area. I've seen through Instagram and stuff like that, you networked and met some really, really top guys. What has been the number one thing for you that's made a difference in terms of networking? What's allowed you to get into rooms that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise?
It's all proven over time. So my best and closest relationships with the top level people that I know have all been things that I've fostered over time, and just being authentically you, adding value to the people that you want to add value to. So adding value and knowing that it takes time.
Sure.
And eventually that separates yourself. If you truly are an elite level person, other people see it. They have this saying, eagles spot other eagles naturally. And that's just a scenario. You spot other people that are on the same wavelength, and it just takes a bit of time. But to build trust, that takes time. Let's say you're trying to get in with someone that is in your space, in your industry, and you want to build a good relationship. Give them a gift. Give them something that you can add value. Let's say you've got a podcast and you want to meet some really influential person here in Dubai that can help you grow your business. Hey, bro, I got a podcast. I can add a lot of value to you. I can edit the podcast. I can even send you customized clips for you to grow your social media. Something that you can do to add value to the person.
Sure.
Versus, hey, can we meet for coffee? Fuck.
You get that quite a lot of people messaging just stupid shit, really.
Dumb shit.
Yeah. So, but adding value is super, super important. Definitely makes sense. That's good advice for me as well.
Yeah.
So spotting those opportunities, finding what people need, and providing that value. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Adam.
Of course, brother.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. And hopefully I'll be back sometime in Dubai soon and we can get that training session in.
Let's do it, bro. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, guys.